Welcome, everybody, back to Friar Talk. I hope your weekends are off to a great start. We're recording this Friday evening, and we have a breaking trade. The Padres have just made a franchise-altering move in a trade for Ben Gamel. No, this is not a franchise-altering move. It's not really that big of a deal, but we want to talk about it. We're going to talk about some minor leaguers, talk about the MLB draft. We're going to push that to next week, kind of do a big episode on just like the prospects and stuff like that. But today, we got this Ben Gamel trade. We're currently recording as the Padres are playing the Phillies in an extremely important series. This is going to go up in the middle of the game. So if you're watching during the game, after the game, we don't know what's happening in that one, but we will have an episode on Sunday or a live stream on Sunday at probably 5 Pacific time. And we'll be breaking that down as well. Going to be doing another $50 Bubs gift card. This will be the last $50 Bubs gift card that we'll be doing. So make sure to tune in at 5 o'clock on Sunday. But with all this said, Padres make a move for Ben Gamel. He's a lefty outfielder. If you want to break him down as a player, basically he has a very good approach in the sense that he walks a lot. He's not a really good fielder. He's an average kind of speed, average hitter. And the Padres basically just moved him. He's from the Rays. He's in the Rays organization right now, but Padres made a move for him. They're giving up cash only for him. And he's going to start out in AAA El Paso, and he's basically the next depth outfielder on this roster. I think the idea of the move was, you're going to add a guy that can get on base at a pretty good clip, and that's where he's going to come into play. But Isaac, what are your quick thoughts on this trade?
I mean, brought in probably one of the greatest to ever do it, Ben Gamel. Yeah, it's definitely going to be – it's a weird move. I mean, it's definitely out of left field where this guy's not really – he hasn't really played in the MLB. He hasn't played in the MLB at all this year. He played last year. You look at his 2022 baseball savant. Like Matt said, he walks a decent amount. He walks a good amount. He has a good eye at the plate. Still strikes out kind of a good amount. Nothing special. His defense isn't that good. But going off last year, he was in the 86th percentile in base on ball percentage, 79th percentile in chase rate, 55th percentile in whiff percentage, and 66th percentile in sprint speed. So nothing impressive. Max exit velocity, 51st percentile. Nothing crazy. But all we gave up was some cash. And you really got to wonder what went into this deal. I understand, we don't really have depth outfielders right now. The guys that were starting out there is like Brandon Dixon. So I understand the move. He's going to be starting in AAA. It's a depth move, and we know the Padres don't really need to make splashy moves. Like quite frankly, this isn't the same as last year where we were in a position to make a big time deal, like where we had a loaded farm system where, we're a move away from having a great lineup. This isn't that. This is a team that has to say we need depth and we need contributors, not superstars. And I understand, AJ Preller does love going for his superstars. And if Ohtani's there and we're not that far back from a playoff spot, he's going after Ohtani. Whether he gets him or not, I don't think he will. But he will go after him at minimum. But as far as Ben Gamel goes, nothing really pops out at you. But it's a depth move. And considering it only costs us some cash, you can't really be mad at it. I understand people are going to be like, what the heck? What kind of move is this? Why did they do this? But, I mean, only time will tell why they did this. We can't keep starting Brandon Dixon in the outfield if one of Toddy, Grish, or Soto need a day off. So I'm glad they brought in a depth outfielder. And even if he's not that good, it didn't cost us much.
Yeah, and we'll see when or if he comes up to the pros as well. I mean, it's not like even that's a for sure thing. So it's an interesting move. I think it's interesting what you brought up, Isaac, that kind of like the Padres aren't in a spot to make any big splashy moves. But then you go straight ahead and you say that they're going to go after Ohtani, because I completely agree. Like, I think that's the plan. And we'll probably talk about Ohtani here sometime next week because, now the trade rumors are kind of circulating about him, which is very interesting. I think it's a very interesting discussion. I think when we talk about him, we won't just talk about him to the Padres, but we'll talk about his full trade market as well, because I think there's a lot to unpack about the kind of the Ohtani sweepstakes potentially at the deadline, because you're only getting them for half a year. So we'll see what ends up going down with that. But I think as far as Ben Gamel goes, you're going after a guy that he sees a lot of pitches. Honestly, it almost is kind of like, I don't want to say frustrating, but it's almost kind of like, isn't this the problem with the Padres lineup is that they have guys that just come up there and we just take a pitch, take a pitch. Oh, it struck out on 5 pitches and you didn't lift the bat off your shoulder. So it kind of feels like that, which almost is like infuriating because it's like that's like obviously like the organization's mindset right now, which I personally hate. But even then, like he's a depth outfielder. He's a lefty off the bench, so I think that's why you ultimately end up having him. I think this is kind of a first move. I think there's going to be some other ones. I think there's going to be multiple trades that the Padres make. I don't think anything's going to be crazy unless they were able to get Ohtani or something like that. But if it even makes sense to go after him, they need to go and they need to win a lot of games beforehand. Else it makes absolutely no sense. Because like imagine worst case scenario, they trade for Ohtani. And then they miss the playoffs and then he walks. Like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, that would be an absolute disaster. So I think that'll kind of go with that. In terms of trades, I think there'll be a few ones. But this one, honestly, just feels like a Jake Marisnick move from 2021. That's what it feels like. That's what it could kind of be looked at. And if you guys remember down the stretch, Marisnick played like 10, 15 games. He didn't really have a role. So I think that's pretty similar in this. So yeah, not a crazy move, but that's kind of where I'm at with this. Isaac, anything else you want to add on him or my Ohtani comments?
No, I mean, you hope that Ben Gamel turns into Mike Trout for sure. No, man, but you go back to Ohtani. I know it's funny because before we come into these streams, we like make funny titles. So this one's called Trading for the GOAT. And it's funny that we brought up Ohtani because could be trading for the GOAT. So no comments, man. You're absolutely right. It's pointless if we're trying to trade for Ohtani and we're not the 2 games back. I think it's pointless. Let him go somewhere else. Don't even risk it.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it. Super quick video today. I just wanted to get something on Ben Gamel. So hopefully the Padres win. Hopefully this is a fantastic weekend for this team. If you're just listening to this and you have not listened to our preview episode about the Phillies series, about how important that is, make sure to check that out as well. We also had a video about the 5 biggest surprises of the MLB first half. And honestly, it was a really fun video to do. I made the thumbnail and I think it looks sick. I'm very proud of that. But I think that's probably going to do it for today. So we'll see y'all on Sunday. Have a bunch of stuff about, prospects, trade capital, trading, stuff like that coming out next week as well. So we'll see y'all soon, but have a great weekend.